Chapter 2. The Family Fractures Inside the Whitney House. Lore stood up from his chair, eyes scanning everyone at the table. His gaze locked onto Sheila, his brother's wife.
"You killed him. You killed my brother,"
he said firmly. Sheila met his eyes without flinching.
I didn't kill him.
She replied coldly. The room was gripped by silence. Fear, shock, and confusion bounced between each pair of eyes. Lore's voice rose to a shout.
"You killed him! I know it! You always hated him!"
David stood abruptly.
Shut up! Don't talk about her like that.
Lore gestured toward the table, his voice trembling with fury.
"If she's not the killer, then it's one of you, and I won't rest until I find him."
The children at the side table stared wide-eyed, paralyzed by fear and confusion. Elena shot up from her seat, a sudden thought flashing in her mind. The food. She remembered Sheila's chilling words.
The food might be poisoned.
She rushed toward the children's table. Her eyes scanned their plates, and she breathed a sigh of relief. She recalled Harold had ordered a separate meal, pasta and grilled chicken, just for the kids. That food hadn't been touched. Lore and Sheila continued to argue behind her, but she tuned them out. All she cared about were the children. She knelt and gently cupped Ella's tear-streaked face.
"It's okay, sweetie. You're safe."
She whispered. Then she looked to the others.
"Go upstairs, please. I'll be with you soon."
The children rushed out, and Elena's heart leapt as she remembered her son, Jack. She turned and ran back to the dining table. Jack sat still, staring at his plate and the corpse beside it. She knelt and cupped his face.
"Are you okay? Do you feel sick?"
she asked, panic cracking her voice. Jack shook his head slowly, still in shock. Elena broke down in tears, blaming herself for getting tangled in this family's dark web. Meanwhile, Rustin and Lore were still shouting at each other. Lore pulled out his phone.
"Hello, I'm Mr. Lore. I need to speak with Detective Archer,"
he said. David snapped at him.
Who are you calling?
Lore ignored him.
"Yes, Detective Archer. Someone has killed my brother."
Suddenly the sound of children screaming pierced the tension. Rustin bolted up the stairs with Elena and Harry following close behind. The others trailed behind them. Upstairs, the three children stood frozen in front of the bathroom, located opposite Harry's room and next to Lena's. David knelt beside them, his face full of concern.
Are you okay? What happened?
Linda sobbed uncontrollably. Ella stood pale and trembling. Chris stood behind them, too young to grasp the situation, but sensing something deeply wrong. Ella finalmente habló.
She saw a spider.
Rustin blinked.
A spider?
Linda nodded between sobs. David peeked into the open bathroom. Nothing. The other doors were still shut. He figured it was fear from their grandfather's death. Everyone started heading downstairs again, except Elena. She knelt beside Linda.
"You're sure you're okay, sweetie?"
she asked softly. Linda wiped her eyes and nodded. Elena gently led the kids into the children's room at the end of the hallway, then rejoined the others. Lore was still on the phone.
"No, I know she killed him."
Rustin sighed deeply, overwhelmed by his uncle's accusations while their father lay dead. David quietly led his mother into the kitchen, hoping to calm her. Meanwhile, Harry slipped into the dining room, wanting one last look at his father. Harold still lay slumped over the table. Maya sat nearby on the floor, her face buried in her knees. A tear slid down Harry's cheek. He wished he had told his father he loved him. His eyes drifted to the far end of the table. His mother's seat. Something small and white lay on the plate. He walked toward it. It was furry. His stomach dropped. Lying motionless on the plate was Chill, the family cat. He gasped.
Rustin!
He called. Rustin entered and stared at the dead animal.
Isn't that Mom's plate?
He asked, alarmed. Lore heard them from the living room. The phone slipped from his hand in shock. If Sheila's plate was poisoned too, then who was the target? He picked up the phone and finished the call. Then he walked slowly into the dining room. His eyes flicked between Harry and Rustin.
You must have put the poison there to protect her.
He accused, voice trembling.
She has to be the killer.
No one answered him. Rustin knelt by Jake to tell him about the cat. Harry returned to Harold's chair.
Maya, come help me,
he said gently. Maya stood, her face red and streaked with tears. Together they lifted Harold's face from the plate. Harry soaked a cloth in water and began wiping his father's face. Suddenly, a scream. Harry turned sharply. Jake was hugging the cat, sobbing.
No, please. You're the only thing I love in this house.
He wailed. Harry sighed deeply. He knew it wasn't just a cat to Jake. It was his best friend. From across the room, Lore watched them all. Something clicked in his mind. Where are David and Sheila? He dashed toward the kitchen. When he entered, both mother and son turned to him with unnatural calm. He didn't need to hear what they were saying. He knew something was off.
I want everyone in the living room. Now quotation mark.
He barked. Soon, the entire family was gathered. David and Sheila sat beside each other. Jake cradled the cat in his lap, Harry beside him, offering a hand of comfort. Millie and Elena sat close while Mr. and Mrs. Park fed each other chocolates without a care in the world. Mike stood protectively behind Clark. Maya stood off to the side. Lore faced them all, suspicion in his eyes. Rustin stormed in.
What is this madness? One of you is a murderer.
Lore said coldly.
And no one leaves until Detective Archer arrives.
The Parks didn't react. Jake and Harry sat hollow and grief-stricken. Sheila rubbed her temples, exhausted.
You're going to lock us in here?
Rustin barked.
Yes!
Lore snapped, eyes burning.
Until I know who killed my brother.
Rustin slammed a hand on the table.
You're insane.
Millie scoffed.
You can't keep us here all night. I have appointments.
David rolled his eyes at her.
I'm taking my kids and getting out of here.
Rustin agreed.
We're done with this.
He started toward the stairs, but Lore blocked him, pulling a gun from his pocket. Everyone froze. Sheila jumped to her feet.
My son!
She cried. Lore pointed the weapon directly at Rustin.
If anyone tries to leave, they'll be next.
He threatened. Millie gasped, hand over her mouth. Mike shielded Clark protectively. Elena clutched Jack close. Harry rose slowly, palms facing forward.
It's okay. He's not going anywhere.
He said softly, approaching Lore with care. After a tense moment, Lore pushed Rustin away and lowered the weapon. Harry ran to check on his brother. Lore tucked the gun into his back pocket. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Lore rushed to open it. A tall man stood in the doorway. Early 50s, streaks of gray through jet-black hair. He wore a crisp white shirt and dark trousers. Detective Archer had arrived.